from his studios in New York. It's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Hanging out here with you inside of the Charney's Menswear and Tuxedo Studios, 3150 Erie Boulevard East in Syracuse, New York. You could find any style, any size, when you're looking for any type of menswear, dress up and dress down at Charney's, 3150 Erie Boulevard East in Syracuse, New York, inside of the Charney Studios. Like I said, Facebook Live, facebook.com/live-now-DT, and of course on mixlr.com, you're listening, /wakeupcalldt, and you can tune in live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. In the second hour of today's broadcast, I'm very happy to have back on the show the head coach of Marywood Pacers women's basketball, and that is Jen Carleton. She's in her first year with the team. They've gone through some injury. They obviously have a lot of new faces on the team and some returning faces that are here with the program. I was with them this past weekend when I came back and reprised my role on MU courtside, with a big thanks to the Com Arts department as well as athletics, and of course Brendan Murphy, the current host of the broadcast. And a big thanks to Jen and Enrico for having me be there as well. So it was great to come back to Marywood University, and I know that Jen and Enrico wanted better outcomes, but it was definitely great to be around there, great to be there for Youth Day and all that came from that. So with that being said, we bring her back onto the broadcast to give some thoughts mid-season. Jen, how are we doing today?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. And Jen, I want to kind of just jump right into it. I know that Gwen and Mercy had put on a full court press, and I know that was something that they were living in. As far as moving forward from that, since they utilized it really the whole game, and the press break is obviously something that's imperative. Is there an implementation of maybe new plays at this point in the season? Do you have ones that had already been set up? But when you look at something like a full court press that, at any level, D1, D2, D3, or JUCO, is a hard thing to break. Is that one of maybe the key points of practice now, is breaking those presses and creating plays, or maybe going into your wheelhouse and utilizing some of that?
Well, always going into the wheelhouse, trying to figure out something different. But we knew going in that West Mercy played the Grinnell style, and that's what they do for, I think they were 7-6 at the time when we played them. Every single one of their games, they're trying to shoot 97 shots a game, 95 shots a game. They're trying to make half of them threes, and they're trying to force over 30 turnovers a game. So that's kind of their style: 5 in, 5 out, every 45 to 60 seconds. And so we did prepare for it. Don't get me wrong. We spent a whole 2 days of practice going over all those things. But when we have so much youth on our team, no excuses, 100% no excuses. But when we have so much youth and they're not used to seeing that style, and perfectly honest, I've never coached against that style. I actually called a couple of my older coaching friends, and they were a little bit like, well, I've never seen it before. So I got them, hooked on watching the film of it. It's different. It's a way different live than it is. You can't prepare for it, in a way that in the magnitude in which they do it in a consistent basis. So it was a tough day. It was absolutely one of those ones that we're very fortunate that we get to see them again, and I'm fortunate that I get to coach against them again. Because I really, I want to play against it again. I want our girls to feel a little bit more confident in knowing what their style is, and be able to kind of utilize what we worked on in practice with a little bit more confidence, because you can see it. So I'm excited to see them again early February. I'm looking forward to it. I know not many coaches would say that after a 40-point loss to them, but I am looking forward to it, and I think the girls are too.
Speaking here with Marywood University women's basketball head coach Jen Carleton, and Jen, what do you take? I mean, when you go into a game like that, and you speak on the fact that no matter how you try to simulate it in practice, it's hard to go up against. People have said that historically about Jim Boeheim's 2-3 zone, that no matter how you try to simulate it, you can't really figure it out. And then with Virginia's defense as well, and what Tony Bennett's done, no matter how people try to play it, even Butler at times too, because before it felt like Virginia was doing, Butler was playing a defense that, if they kept you 54 points, under 60 points, they had a great chance of winning. So, for you to go up against it, and like you said, you can't really simulate it. What were your biggest takeaways and your biggest learning moments, without giving too much away, obviously? What were some of the biggest takeaways that you got from this weekend against Gwendolyn Mercy?
I mean, all the things that we said to do, we did the opposite. So, and everything that we said not to do, we did those things. So, I think just the learning experience of understanding that, we do drills for a reason. We have a game plan for a reason, for specialized games just like this. And just, just to be able to kind of get the kinks out in a practice setting, would have been nice for us. But at the same time, I know that we needed to see it. It's one of those things, it's an experience-based, system that you need to see it in order for you to kind of fully understand it. So, obviously a press break is huge. And, we had 3 or 4 different options on what we wanted to do. And unfortunately, it never got to that point. But, I do think the next time around we'll be much more confident in understanding why we're doing something, not just do it because the coach says so. So I think that was a big point to make.
So as you look forward and as you step forward here, you're inside of your first season at Marywood. Coaching-wise, I mean, you've been in different places, you've been at different levels, you've done different things. What have you learned up to this point to kind of, look mid-season in the mirror and assess, yourself, assess the team, assess what's going on? What are you seeing up to this point? What are you learning up to this point? What have been, as a coach, you always want to have teachable moments, but a good coach will be able to teach. A great coach will be able to learn. What have you learned at this point?
Well, I've learned that every day is a brand new day. I've learned that, we're playing with next man up. We've had a ton of injuries. We've had a ton of, minor little setbacks. But I'm very fortunate that we have a full roster, and I'm fortunate enough that we are coachable. And I'm learning every single day from them on what they're comfortable with and what they are drawn to in terms of what their capacity is for learning of this thing or that thing. And I'm excited every day for practice, regardless of what the outcome is of the game. I know we're getting better, and I know that the girls know they're getting better. So that's my outlook on things. And if we just stay the course, if we understand that this year is about building the foundation and not letting things just because we're not winning right now doesn't mean that we're going to coach any less hard, or we're not going to take practice is serious, or we're going to say it's okay if you miss this. No, that's not the case. This is where we're building that character. We're building the foundation for what comes next. And what comes next is us, putting all these pieces together to move forward to win some games, not just this year, but for years to come. And I'm excited for our future because I think that we, in terms of our seniors, we really only lose 2 that play a significant amount. So we can bounce back and have a good core back next year that, we don't have to reteach all the things that we did this year. They're going to be able to teach any incoming, the things that we've done this year to kind of just continue to build off of instead of starting from scratch. So, those things that I'm excited about. Like I said, every day is a new day, and we're excited for practice every day. The girls came in with a great mentality. We had off on Sunday, but yesterday we came in and we just went back to I said, this is old school fundamentals. We're going back to our camp days today. And so we did a whole bunch of, Pete Maravich ball handling skills, and we did, just making a bunch of wide open layups and those kind of things, going off too, finishing on the right hand. And I know that sounds very elementary or intermediate, but, this is the kind of stuff sometimes even as adults, we need to go back and go through the basics again. And yesterday was about going through the basics, going through the fundamentals, and we got a lot of things accomplished, and I think that the girls enjoyed it as well. And it wasn't one of those ones where they were just because we got beat by a lot and we didn't do the things that we practiced on Friday. It's not like we're coming in there with mentality you're going to run for everything, or you're going to do this, or we're going to have a punishment day. It's not about that. It's making sure that we move past Saturday, but hold on to the things that are going to make us better for the future. And the girls did a really good job of bouncing back yesterday, and I'm excited for practice tonight as well.
Coming from Jen Carleton, Marywood Pacers women's basketball head coach. as you continue to look at these as positives and the pieces, like you said, to build off of, this team, and you and I have spoken about this before, some of these young women, 3 coaches in 3 years, how have they responded to you? How are they with you? Have you become their leader? Do you get a sense of that? Are you still trying to get a piece of the room that maybe hasn't bought in yet? I mean, how do you, because you came in late, you're brought into Marywood, I think it's September, so you didn't have a lot of time to get ready for the season. Recruitment had been done. The players that were coming in were coming in. The players that were staying. So, you kind of got thrown into the fire immediately, and, you welcome the challenge, which I appreciate and respect. But to come in so late, it's hard to kind of take over the reins when you got to start practice 5 seconds after. Do you feel like you have the team? Do you feel like you're still working to have it? Does it feel like yours? Because you were in a unique situation that I don't think any coach envies, which is, not having the time to really get in there for a few months and it was more quick. And I know 5 years ago for Enrico, it was the same thing. Coach had left and he got thrown right into it right away, and they struggled early as well. So where is it in your mind, and do you feel like this team is your team? Do you get a sense for that, or do you still feel like that this team is kind of learning to be a family at this point?
No, I think that we have the team, we have the locker room. Our leaders have been outstanding. I think that we do. I think that we know that it's us versus the world, and we're okay with that, And we know that it's a growing year. We know that it's one of those years that it's not just about the wins and losses; it's about the foundation that we're building. And when you can look into every player's eyes and know that they believe the same thing that that you believe in, that we can do something, I think that's when you kind of know when they're yours. And I have that feeling, every time I look at them, every time we're together, I know that they have the same mentality, the same goals that I do. And, we have, I have different ways of getting there than maybe their past coaches have, and they're adjusting to those ways because, they want to get better. They're truly coachable. They really want to win. They're tired of losing, and they want to feel, that sense of, accomplishment, every day instead of just, the 3 times that we've won so far. And, but we're, like I said, we are measuring success a little bit differently this year. It's not just about the wins and losses. It's about, knowing that we're taking the right steps in the right direction. And I think that the girls do know that we're taking the right steps in the direction. Saturday was not the right step, but I keep telling them sometimes, it's like a slingshot. Sometimes you got to pull back in order to be shot forward. And Saturday was our pullback moment, so we're able to shoot forward and go from here. And I'm excited about what comes next, definitely. But, we had a really good win on Monday of last week. We were down 18 at halftime, I think 21 for the game, and we battled back, and it was just one possession at a time. And I keep telling them there's no 18-point shot, there's no 21-point shot. It's not going to happen instantaneous. It's going to happen one possession at a time. And all of a sudden we look up and there's a minute and a half left, and we're only down 4. And then we look up again, and it's 52 seconds. We just taken our first lead of the game, and we maintain that. So to be able to do that with some underclassmen, and to be able to do that with the group of girls that had 3 coaches in 3 years, that right there was one of those moments for our team that was, it was wonderful for us. It was indescribable for them, and just the looks on their faces, and just how happy they were in the locker room afterwards. Make all those those moments that you're a little weary, you're in between of is this working? Are we on the right page? Are we are we together? It just solidifies those things, and just it was a win to help us feel that way. But just how they did it was more than just the win. It was a bounce back, and a lot of underclassmen, a lot of teams that have had 3 coaches in 3 years, and have a lot of obstacles in front of them, or a lot of excuses, I want to say, in front of them, would crumble, and they would just say, okay, we're down 18, we'll just focus on the next game. But they never did, and I think that that's really, it shows a lot of character, and it shows what we're made of, and it shows what our future is about too. So I'm really proud of that.
That coming from Jen Carleton, Marywood Pacers women's basketball head coach, and Jen, for you, as you step forward, you continue to learn, you continue to grow. You've seen some leaders, you've mentioned some leaders here, and as the team moves forward into the rest of the season, who would you put on that line leadership-wise? I know that your 2 leading scorers, your double-digit scorers in this most recent game, I know that that was Araya Ongst and as well as Kate Riley. And I had said during the game on the broadcast, these are the moments where I want to see Araya step up. These are the moments where I want to see Kate step up, because I know that there's leadership that comes from them. I feel like the team could follow in their footsteps, and they end up being the leading scorers on the team in that game, despite the fact that, you did lose to Gwen and Mercy by a larger margin than I'm sure that you wanted to, or lose at all. But what can you say about Kate Riley and Araya Ongst specifically, and what they've been able to do, because they've had the numerous coaches, 3 coaches, 3 years, and they have established leadership? They've obviously commanded respect out of me, for whatever that's worth, because when I'm watching the game, I'm saying, I want to see how they take over. And then I look at the line at the end of it, and Araya having almost 20-20 for, not just a double-double, but almost, a double-double and then some, and then seeing what Kate was able to do. Are those your leaders? Is there somebody else you want to put on that line as well? Just what you could say about leadership at this point as this team looks to navigate through a year where there are some growing pains.
Yeah, Kate and Araya have been great leaders for us. We've also had Emily Theobald and Marissa Fernandes as well. Unfortunately, Marissa's been out with an injury, so we're not sure when we're going to get her back yet. But Emily is a silent leader. She's one of those ones, she really knows the game of basketball. She understands the game of basketball. So when you say something to her, that translates, and she's able to be, kind of that coach on the court. That's, she's not going to be loud. She's not going to, yell from across the gym for where you to go where you have to be, but she is going to pull you aside and tell you the things that you need to look for, or what's going to be open, or what's here, what's there. So she's been a great leader for us. And Araya and Kate and Emily and Marissa, they all have different, unique styles of leadership. Obviously, Araya is our leader on the court in terms of, she's our leading scorer. The last 3 games, she's averaged a double-double. She just got honorable mention for all the conference player of the week. She's one of those ones on the court that we look to when we are, when we need something. We need a push. We're down. We need a big basket. We need a stop. She's one we look for that. Kate, we're looking for, for vocal leadership, to kind of get on someone. She's not afraid to say, okay, you're not doing what you need to do. Hold someone accountable. Every team needs one of those. Marissa is one that will be, very energetic in practice, and she'll get everybody going. And if we're, have a little bit less energy in practice, she's the one we kind of look for. Even with her being out on the sideline right now, the girls still look to her for that energy, that push on the sideline. And like I said, Emily's just very smart, and the 4 of them are able to complement each other really well. And that's why obviously we have 16 girls in the team, so having 4 captains may seem like a lot, but in reality, it's not. And I think the fact that all 4 do so many things different, it really helps, the growth of our program. And on top of that, 3 of those captains are only juniors, so I get them back next year, helping them understand the foundation that we're laying now and to build off of it for next year. So I'm very fortunate.
You having that, you having those players you mentioned, Marissa Fernandes, Tierney, and what she has brought to it, and I said it on the broadcast when I came back for MU courtside. I said, she's the energy, and you just said, in so many different ways where she can be that, and I mean she is. I mean, I said that to Brendan Murphy. I said when she is on the floor, I mean, even, and like you said, even when she's not, but I said she doesn't have to score a point, she doesn't have to get a rebound, she doesn't have to get a steal, she's a junkyard dog, she's loud, I don't think people want to go up against her, she's physical, she's willing to take that contact, I almost feel like she likes that contact, she's kind of like that old school type of player, so I gotta imagine and I gotta hope that there's some way, shape, or form that your team, and you mentioned it, is still feeding off of her because she is such a giant ball. I said the Energizer Bunny would just give up and go to the corner and plug itself in when it met Marissa, because that's just how she is.
She really is. She really is. And like I said, and her energy and her her enthusiasm for playing and for the game is trickling down to our underclassmen. I mean, it was hard for you to see it live on Saturday, but Savannah Purdy, she's a freshman. She comes in and she's a ball of energy. She doesn't care who she's going against. She's probably the smallest girl on our team, but she'll go against anyone. And she has a lot of that Marissa spunk to her. So it's a nice torch passing for right now while Marissa can't be on the court with us. But, at the same time, her vocal energy, her demeanor, what she provides to us when she's not on the court, it's just something that we need. It's absolutely something we need. And it just goes to what we've been saying all year, and I think we said it at our tip-off dinner. Whether you're the first player on the team, the best scorer, or you're the last person to come off the bench, or you're someone like Marissa who's not getting off the bench right now because of injury, you're so valued, and we need you to be you. We need you to show your personality. We need you to be, to show your personality every single day so this team can become what they're truly meant to be. And if you're timid, if you're not being you, if you're being shy, if you're holding back, we're never going to experience what we can fully be because you're not letting us, see who you are. And she's a perfect example of how we need everybody. And she's really passed along, her energy to a lot of people, and I'm proud of her.
Yeah, she's been fantastic, and I know that you'd love to have her on the floor, but at least you have her on the team in some way, shape, or form. Speaking here with Jen Carleton. Jen, I before I let you go, I was speaking with Gabby HoCo, and Gabby obviously was the coach of Marywood before you came in for a season and had some success and helped the team to get to the playoffs and get a victory and whatnot. She's at Susquehanna now. I asked her about her connection to you, and she said, well, when I left, I was always told to leave things better than you found them, and that's what I want to do with Marywood. She's like, it was hard for me to leave Marywood. It was something that she had to sit down and really think about. She spoke with Enrico Mastriani about the men's coach there at Marywood, and she said, I went to Susquehanna. It was a school that had been on my mind for a long time, and they had this back-and-forth game with Marywood. It was important for her that when she left, she said, I left a bunch of folders. I left a bunch of information. I wanted the next coach to have something. She gave her side of it in that she, wanted to leave stuff. She wanted to help out. She obviously, wanted to be there for you and respects what you're doing and whatnot. What do you feel from her? I mean, I've heard nothing but positives on her end. Did she leave you, a bunch of information that was, useful and utilized? And what can you say about, your relationship with her when she was there for a short time, but really cared about these young women, and at least in my opinion, from what I saw, and now you're there, did that transition, was that helped by the fact that, she tried to pay it forward? Did you get a sense for that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the first time I walked into the office, there was 4 or 5 folders there, and there's the financial parts of it, and there's this part of it, and there's little notes on every player, and I just her take on the notes from last year's team, and maybe a little bit of notes from the recruits as well, but just to be able to have that that the little bit of notes, just to kind of, she didn't want me to take her opinion on what the girls were, but just a couple notes here and there to get your stuff going, because it was so late in the process, and it was extremely helpful. So I think it was 5 minutes after I walked in on my first day and I saw everything there. I made sure I texted her, and I told her, don't worry, I'm going to take good care of your girls. They're in good hands. And thank you so much for laying out the groundwork for me, and I appreciate it. And it helped because it was so late in the process. It wasn't like I was getting a job in June or July when normal hires happen. This was late September. I mean, my first day was September 25th, which is literally 2 weeks before the first day of practice. But those little things helped, and I actually met Gabby for the first time when we played them right before break, and just very understanding, very nice person. We actually met up the next day and went, we were recruiting at the same gym, so we sat and talked for that whole game, and just exchanged war stories and going back and forth. And it was very nice to get to know her. It was nice to finally put a face to a name and to some stories and those kind of things. But I enjoyed getting to know her, and I look forward to future games with her as well.
And with that, and I had spoken with her about the fact that there was that, non-conference Susquehanna Marywood game that was something that we've seen them in the Landmark Conference and you in the Atlantic East. And I asked her if she wanted to continue that, and she said, this is something that's been going on for a while, but it's important and kind of imperative that she keeps that going. Do you have the same hope and sense for that? I mean, it seems like you do from what you just said, that this is a non-conference game in the state of Pennsylvania that you'd like to see continue.
Oh, definitely. We already have it scheduled for next year. I think we open up with each other. So it's, it's the first game of the year, I think, next year. And, I'm excited because, I'm a competitor at heart as she is. And I know the girls are competitors too. And, we lost to them by a decent amount, but, we were getting better, and I know that we were just a couple possessions away from kind of changing that score. I don't know about the outcome, but changing the score and having, a little bit different circumstance in the fourth quarter or the third quarter. So I know that we're anxious, we're ready to get back at it, obviously, but we have a whole year to do that, and, I know she's thinking the same thing. So I'm excited. I love friendly rivalries. I love rivalries, especially when you're a good person, and she really is. I got to know her a little bit, and, Coach Joe worked with her last year because he was her assistant last year. He's my assistant this year. So just having that connection has been great, and just to kind of throw text messages back and forth at each other, like, hey, how about this? How about that? And it's nice. It's nice to have that connection. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that it continues for years to come.
How important was it for you, speaking with Jen Carleton here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Charney's Menswear and Tuxedo Studios on 3150 Erie Boulevard East in Syracuse, New York? How important, how vital was it for you to keep Joe Reno on the staff as an assistant coach? Like you said, he was an assistant under Gabby. He's an assistant under you. To give some familiar face, some type of bridge between the coaching changes and whatnot. How important was it for Joe Reno to stay there, in your opinion?
Oh, it was so important. It really was. It was imperative that he stayed, really. It was so late in the process. He was in on my interview process as well. So, as much as they were interviewing me, I was also, looking at what was going to happen if I did get the job, and how to move forward with it. But, I liked Joe right from the start. He was real. He said what he felt, but he was never, overbearing. He was never trying to take charge. He was never trying to, to step on any toes. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's just a great guy, and it's amazing. Every time I say, like, oh, my assistant is Joe Reno, every single person that I talk to, oh, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. And, like, even before I met him, people are like, he's a great guy. You're going to love him. He's going to be great. And I'm like, how can this guy be so great? Everybody loved him. Everybody says, and he truly is. He really is one of those people that I don't think anyone dislikes. I don't think anyone, just says he's okay. He's just a great person, and he cares about the girls. He cares about our process. He loves the game of basketball. He loves this area. He understands, girls basketball in terms of, like, high school level. He still coaches at the intermediate level. He's, helps out with some club teams. So he's just one of those people who, I enjoy being around, and he makes your program better. So I'm very fortunate to have him.
That coming from Jen Carleton. Jen Carleton, final piece, at least for today's broadcast here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, because I know that you'll be a mainstay here for us as you've been right off the jump when you got hired. Message to your team moving forward, message to Marywood as you continue to navigate, as you continue to grow and develop. What's the mission statement? What's the central message? What's the thing that you want to say in the locker room and in practice and in games and repeat? What's that maybe one message that you have for the young women as well as the community?
Stay positive. Just stay positive. It's a growing experience for not just the team, but for everyone that's associated with the team, everyone that's a support system. And we're very fortunate to have a great support system, including yourself, who obviously has our back no matter what. We appreciate that. And, just staying positive is going to be huge, because the minute that you turn negative, the minute that you, feel like this isn't worth it, the minute that you second guess what you're doing is the minute that you let your team down just a little bit, and if those moments add up, you're doing a little bit more than just hurting just that moment. You're hurting a culture. And our culture is to stay positive, to get better every single day, to learn from our mistakes, to realize that mistakes are lessons learned. They're not, we don't want you to hold on to the fact that you made a mistake. We want you to hold on to the lesson that was learned because of that mistake. And just realize that mistakes will add up to really positive things if you have the right mindset. And I think that we're getting in that direction. We're focusing on the right things. We're heading in the right direction. We're putting one foot in front of the other, and we're on, like Coach Enrico says, brick by brick, and we're getting there. And just stay the course and realize that, like I said, sometimes there's that slingshot, and sometimes you really have to, get pulled back to shoot yourself forward. And I know that that's going to be our season. When it comes down to it, we're shooting ourselves back. We're pulling ourselves back. We can really propel forward, and I'm looking forward to our future.
Coming once again from Marywood women's basketball head coach Jen Carleton. Jen, as always, I appreciate it. I thank you for your time. I know that this team is working. I know that they're trying, and I hope nothing but the best. Like you said, you know that I'll be in your corner, and that is a definite. So continue to do what you're doing. Continue to work hard, and I hope that it starts showing up in the win column for you. But no matter what, I hope that, brick by brick, piece by piece. They say that players don't remember and coaches don't remember how many wins they had. They remember how they felt during the games. They remember the moments that they came together as a team. So I hope you continue to have those positive moments that ultimately lead to success, and I hope you continue to enjoy this new era that you have in your career, because we're definitely happy to have you at Marywood.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, I'll talk with you soon.
All right, thanks.
Take care.